What can you do on your property in Chatham County?
Was what can or can't you do? So there's all these different levels of jurisdiction. That's what people have a tough time understanding. So the first would be, at the federal level, what can or can't you do? And I know that sounds ridiculous, but like, if you want to put a nuclear reactor on your property, that would be a federal issue. So you got to get that. Or if you want an international airport, that's something that you're figuring out at the federal level. Then we have some things that are like at the state level. The state has jurisdiction. Do you want a landfill on your property? Well, then you're going to have state approval there. But the biggest thing that people fail to realize are the county or the city, the zoning issues. Okay, so we have all these different types of zoning. So you have commercial, industrial. You have a variant of commercial, which would be O&I, office and institutional. And then you hear people say res ag. Well, that means it's either residential or agricultural, okay? So there's various different permitted uses with those types of zoning in our area. Then there's ordinances, like the county or your municipality will have rules on what you can or can't do. Like, can I fix cars at my property? Well, probably. Can you fix cars for other people? Maybe. Can you fix cars for other people 15, 20 times a day? No, you can't do that. So, there's, you got to figure out what your ordinances are in your area. And so those are the rules. But, so we'll often advertise unrestricted properties. And unrestricted property means it doesn't have a deed restriction. Doesn't mean that you can do anything. You might still have a zoning restriction, okay? But an unrestricted property means it doesn't have a deed, so it doesn't have restricted covenants or protective covenants on it. People don't understand what that means. And so you actually have to read, if there are covenants recorded on it, you have to read what those covenants are. And they'll spell out what you can or can't do. A lot of people don't understand that you can have protective covenants and deed restrictions, but no HOA. HOA is a much different ballgame. HOA is like a hired administrative association. They're collecting fees. They're giving out penalties. They're administrating. It's definitely a completely different level. If we're at Governor's Club, the Preserve, Briar Chapel, Chapel Ridge, that's going to have an HOA with it. But just because you live in a neighborhood that has deed restrictions or protective covenants doesn't necessarily mean that there's a homeowners association. And then the thing that gets some of our other agents confused is whether or not there's a road maintenance agreement. So a road maintenance agreement is not necessarily, it could be part of an HOA, but it's not necessarily an HOA unto itself. A road maintenance agreement, we've been in similar situations before, very common in Chatham County. You have a long private road. Your road maintenance agreement's either going to say, we're collecting $200 a year, or you owe 1/5 as needed, or X amount, or, we all get together and have a vote. We decide when the road gets fixed, and we share in the fixing of it. We've had other discussions. It's a big thing if you have a private road and don't have a road maintenance agreement. That's frowned upon. So going back to the unrestricted property, whatever it is, there's been a huge paradigm shift in the market. It used to be that the cute little homes in a subdivision with the covenants, they usually got more money. Now there's a premium on unrestricted properties. I don't know if it's the COVIDs or, just people not liking anybody telling them what to do, but it used to be people liked properties with covenants on them better. Now people like properties that are unrestricted better because nobody can tell you what to do. As long as you have like adequate acreage or it's a big enough lot, that usually affords you some protection. The thing that people need to realize, if your property is unrestricted, the property next door to you is unrestricted as well. And so it's not like you can say, well, I get to do this, but my neighbor doesn't get to do this. So just be aware of unrestricted versus a restricted property. But just because it's unrestricted doesn't mean there are no rules whatsoever. There are still other governing bodies that can tell you what to do.